All right, let's talk about a Java feature every single developer has used, the switch statement. But hey, this is not your professor's switch statement. We're going to break down the really powerful updates from the last few years that have turned it from, let's be honest, a kind of clunky tool into something that's genuinely elegant and safe. You know this feeling, right? If you've ever coded in Java, you know this exact pain. You write what looks like a perfect switch statement, you run it, and the output is just completely wrong. And you know what it is. You forgot a break statement. Again. So now you're hunting down that classic fall-through bug. It's a rite of passage for sure. But what if it didn't have to be? Okay, let's really get into it. To appreciate why the new stuff is so great, we have to start with the old school switch and its most infamous feature. I'm talking about that little break statement. It's the only thing preventing total chaos in your code, and boy, is it easy to forget. So check out this simple example. We're just setting an alarm. On Monday, it should be 8 a.m., and for every other day, the default is 7 a.m. The code looks straightforward enough, but take a close look at that Monday case. See what's missing? And yep, when you run it, this is what you get. Both lines print out. The code goes into the Monday case just fine, but with nothing to stop it, it just keeps going. It falls through right into the default case and runs that code too. That's the bug right there in front of us. The source material we're pulling from just nails it with this simple line. This isn't some rare, tricky bug we're talking about. It's an everyday frustration that was baked right into the original design. Your logic was perfect, but the syntax itself basically sets a trap for you. So the all fix, of course, is to go back and meticulously add a break after every single case. It solves the problem, sure, but it adds all this visual clutter, and it creates a new job for you, remembering. Every time you add a new case, it's another chance to make the exact same mistake. Okay, so the good news is Java finally gave us a real solution. Let's move on to the first big evolution, which completely wipes out the fall-through problem with a beautifully simple syntax change. Now, just look at the sheer elegance of this fix. It's fantastic. On the left, you've got the old way. Case, colon, code, and that mandatory break. On the right, all you do is replace the colon with an arrow. That's it. That little arrow tells the compiler that the code for this case is only what's on the right. There's no fall through. The break is just gone because you don't need it anymore. And this is the payoff right here. First, no more typing break, which immediately makes the code look cleaner. But the huge thing, the most important part, is that accidental fall-through bugs are now a thing of the past. They are syntactically impossible. The language itself now prevents you from making that error, which just leads to code that is safer, cleaner, and a whole lot easier to read. But getting rid of break? That was just the beginning. The next evolution was, honestly, even more profound. Java promoted the switch from just being a control flow statement to being a powerful expression. What does that mean? It means it can now compute and return a value. Just think about how you used to do this. You'd have to declare a variable outside the switch block, then dive in and assign a value to that variable in every single case. It's such a clumsy pattern, full of boilerplate, all just to get one value out. So let's be really clear on this new concept. A switch expression is simply a switch block that figures out a result. Instead of just running some code and moving on, the entire switch block evaluates down to a single value you can use. This is a complete game changer for structuring your logic. And just look at how clean this is. The entire switch block is now on the right-hand side of an assignment. You can just write string result equals switch, and each case uses the arrow to provide its value. You can even group cases together with a comma, like we see here for Saturday and Sunday. It's incredibly concise, so much more readable, and fundamentally safe. So the arrow syntax is perfect for these direct, single-line results. But what happens when you need more than one line of code to figure out what a case should return? Well, for that, Java brought back the classic colon, but it gave it a new keyword to play with, yield. This is the key question, right? An arrow points to a single expression. But what if you need to do more, like log something or do a complex calculation and then produce the final value? How do you do that inside one of these new switch expressions? The answer is yield. With yield, you can use the familiar colon to open up a full code block. Inside that block, you can have as many lines of logic as you want, and when you figured out the result for that case, you just use yield to return it. Yield is basically saying, okay, my work in this block is done, and here's the value. So this gives us two really clear patterns for modern switch expressions. When your case logic is simple, just a single line, use that clean and safe arrow syntax. But when you need the power of a multi-line block to do some real work, you use a colon and then you yield the final value. It's that simple. Okay, let's pull all of this together into a practical little playbook. See, modern Java isn't about throwing out the old switch. It's about giving you a set of sharp, specialized tools so you can always choose the absolute best one for the task at hand. This table is the perfect cheat sheet. The classic colon and break style, it's still there for legacy code or for those super rare times you actually want fall-through logic. The arrow is your new default, your go-to for most statements and simple expressions. It's just cleaner and safer. And the colon with yield, that's your power tool for when you need to run complex logic inside an expression. So, the crucial point is this. The Java switch statement has finally grown up. It's no longer this one-size-fits-all tool that has a dangerous design flaw. It's now a versatile, expressive part of the language that lets you write code that is both more powerful and much, much safer. And that brings us to the final question for you. Now that you have arrows, expressions, and yield in your toolkit, which of these modern features are you going to reach for first? The next time you sit down to write a switch, you have a whole new, much better playbook to choose from.